Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Spurs Diehards TTID. If you were tuning in expecting to see myself, Adrian and Sean Butler discussing the leadership and ownership of the club, unfortunately Sean's been called away on a family matter, and that show will take place next Tuesday the 14th of January at 8 p.m. So it gives you an extra week to look forward to it. But instead of Sean, Adrian and I, we have two guests who have been brought at massive expense. Eugene, we've flown by space rocket, courtesy of Mr. Musk, all the way to North London to take part in the show. Good evening, Eugene.
Hey guys, big up. Good to be on.
Sir?
Doing well. Good to
Good
be
man.
on. Good to talk to everybody.
And welcome to the show. Brad, an old sparring partner of mine on streams for a while. Good evening, Brad.
Good evening, everyone. I'm got loads of layers of clothing on. We had our first bit of snow in London today, so it's a little bit
remarkably
chilly.
in Scotland, we've other than an absolutely the smallest smattering, we've had virtually nothing here so far. So, touch wood. And of course, good evening to our host and co-founder, Adrian. Good evening, Adrian.
Good evening, Sean. Good evening, guests. Good evening to viewers. There's 6 of you viewing it, and I'm sure that'll pick up. And obviously, hopefully, we'll get a few questions from you in the chat channel from those of you in
absolutely.
the chat.
We'll bring in other stuff in the chat. I see Graham from GC TV.
Graham's a good friend of the show.
So, friend of the show, a good friend of us all. Don't know how well you did on the points competition. I guess I'll find out tomorrow, Graham. What we're going to do tonight, anyway, we're going to preview the tomorrow night's match. And we're also going to talk about some of the transfer stuff, which appears to be getting interesting. So, anyway, that's the position we're in. But let's talk, Eugene. Let's talk to you first of all. Injuries. That's a pretty extensive list, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brad,
that's
some signs. I don't know. Did you pick up anything of Angie's press conference today?
I haven't seen it. No, I today's the one day I have to go into the office, so I can't do my normal working from home, working and checking Twitter and stuff. So
that's okay. I'll bring in Adrian. Adrian, you like me don't have to worry about going into offices. There seemed to be some good news on the injury front during the press conference tonight.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ange turned around and said that they want to give Richarlison his second week to get back. So, unlikely he'll take part tomorrow, which you'll go into, no doubt. And Mikey Moore's likely to be on the bench. And Kinski is a part of the squad. And also Yang Min Hook has been part of the squad, which doesn't surprise me because we're short of numbers anyway. So, So
all of a sudden, though, we look like it might be some reinforcements.
And probably something we all want to talk about because we do have different opinions. Son's contract extension has been enacted. He's staying with us for another year. So that's been done, right? So we know this fan base are a bit mixed on this. I don't know which way they're, what percentages are, but the guy's been loyal. I'm glad he's got it anyway. Anyway, back to you, Ian.
Yeah, no problem. Eugene, we have one issue. If I can find there's the one right below it. Maddison and Sarr both out tomorrow. Eugene, how much of a blow do you think that is?
It's definitely a blow. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Maddison, but just given our numbers, we definitely miss him. We definitely miss Sarr more, just given his engine, given that the players are tired. So definitely a miss. But is Bentancur back? or is he still out?
No, he's back. He's back.
He's back. Okay, so sounds like it will be Bentancur, Basuma, Kulusevski, which to me might be our best midfield three, anyways. So I think we might be okay in the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go through the options as we go through. But while we're talking about that, Brad, let's talk about that as the midfield options. I mean, we've all seen enough of Ange's teams and his setups and the way he plays that he would generally give players in his midfield, at least a couple of them, half an hour. An hour, and then bring on reinforcements or fresh legs for the last half hour. He doesn't really have that luxury tomorrow night.
No, I think as far as the Maddison question is concerned, I think we're going to miss him from the fact that he won't be on the bench, because I thought Bergwall played very well on Saturday, and I'd like to see him start tomorrow. He's the one player that we seem to have that actually carries the ball. And correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember a Tottenham player carrying the ball like he did since Gascoigne used to.
Yeah,
I think you need those sort of players. So I thought he played very well on Saturday. He's young enough to still be fit. And I think, I'm thinking and hoping that Liverpool put out a weakened team tomorrow. Because I think this first leg is going to be very, very important. Seeing that the second leg is at Anfield, which I think is something that's not in our favour, having to go up there. So I'm not sure Basuma and Bentancur together. I'm presuming that Bentancur would play in the number 8. And well, actually, this is interesting because Bergwall has been playing in the 6, and you'd probably think Basuma and Bentancur are probably 6s as well. So it'd be interesting if you had that 4. How would they play? I mean, I'm not sure. Basuma worries me. I think he can be absolutely brilliant, but there's a mistake in him, whether that be losing the ball or getting a needless yellow card. I like Kulusevski in the midfield. I think he's a hard-working player. I think he gives us a lot of guts in there, a lot of strength, which I think your midfield needs. The only problem with that is the fact that he's literally been playing every game. So he's, like most of the players are going to be out on their feet. But I think it's just a real shame that with our injuries, we haven't had a chance to see Archie Gray at number 6 get a few games under his belt. So I think that's where ultimately he's going to play.
Adrian, the boys make a number of good points. I guess at least we have the advantage that the players can have a week. Most of these players, anyway, can have a week before the Arsenal game next Wednesday, because I would expect we will play very much a second string against Tamworth on Sunday, and should be more than strong enough, regardless of the team we play.
Yeah, I'm looking at these 4. Of course, you get permutations because you don't know what Ange would do. Will he play Kulu out on the wing and have Johnson on the bench? I mean, he might even go with Werner. I mean, but just looking at the midfield, I'd be tempted, as at Liverpool, to play with the 2 number 6s, Bergwall and Basuma, with Bentancur. And then you sort of got 3. They're pretty solid together. They've all done that job there. And, that's what I'd go. We'll talk about more forward play later, I dare say. But I would go with them. Bentancur's fresh. He missed the game with a ban. Bergwall played the game, didn't he? Did he play the whole game?
No, he got taken off, didn't he?
No, Bergwall came off.
Oh, yeah, because he looked knackered. Right? Yeah, true. And Basuma should still be fresh, right? So, and look, we'd like a slim lead, because I think it's going to be very tight over these 2 ties. I don't think Liverpool are going to walk over. We don't know what team they're going to pick anyway. They've got league games to win, and things like that. And I mean, they will take it seriously. Obviously, it's a semi-final, but they will make. I think they'll make changes to the team that played against us, and we should have learnt from that game as well. So I would be a bit conservative. I like the idea of Basuma and Bentancur and Bergwall there, because if anyone's really going to break the lines with a long-ranging pass, it'll be Bergwall from deep. So he's got a nice long range on him, pass on him. Whereas others, I think a lot of footballers that have been taught this way, they're frightened to take a chance with a long pass in case they lose the ball, So But young players, they seem to be braver. All their young players were brave in the pre-season, weren't they? So yeah, back to you, Ian.
Yeah, it's one of my criticisms of Maddison, that he doesn't appear to like that risk and reward. Players playing long, aimless passes from the edge of their own penalty area, who aren't Glenn Hoddle, fine. But 30 yards from the opponent's goal with players running left or wide, right or left, he doesn't seem to want to play that 20-yard pass in behind for a Udogie or a Son or a Werner or a Porro running on. But that's another story. Eugene, let's bring you back in. Did you manage to see much of the game on Saturday lunchtime with Newcastle?
I did. And actually, as Brad said, and I agree, I would rather see Bergvall than Bissouma. I'm not a Bissouma fan, but during that game, it was refreshing to see that our midfielder could pick up the ball, beat the press, and push forward like Bergvall did. Unfortunately, Bissouma...
Would you agree Sorry, I've come across you. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm saying, that's what I expect Bissouma to be doing, but he hasn't been doing enough of that. And Bergvall, I feel like he can definitely give us more, both, passing IQ-wise than Bissouma. So I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, I mean, would you agree? I thought they, the run that Bergvall made for the goal, our only goal, was detracted from because of the quality of Porro's cross and Solanke, outmuscling the defender to get the header in. But actually, that was all brought. The real assist was from Bergvall bringing the ball forward quickly, 40 yards, and
the biggest thing,
opportunity.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is with Bergvall, he does not hide from the ball. Sometimes what I see from our midfielders, they don't want that ball. They hide and they don't want to take initiative and control. Right. And Bergvall is always available. He's aggressive. He's willing to take that risk, and that's what we need in the midfield. So I prefer to see him start for sure.
We'll come back. I'm going to go back and talk about goalkeeping, which is an interesting thing based on the press conference, and the defenders. But Brad, let me bring you in here then. Of those four that were, someone doing the chat. Good evening to those of you in the chat. Back to you that's doing that, Adrian. That's great. Okay. Talk about Sonny. Yeah, I see that. I got the funny feeling he meant cups, but
he meant Sonny as well, Blaine. We know what you meant, Blaine.
Yeah. Of those four, Brad, what would be your three in the middle?
I'd go Bentancur, Bergvall, and Kulusevski. I just can't trust Bissouma at the moment. Look, he didn't do much wrong on Saturday when he came on, but he's just one of these players that there's a mistake or something erratic about to happen. I'd even be inclined in the summer if we get a decent offer for him to sell, but I'd go with Bentancur, Bergvall, Kulusevski. Kulusevski adds a bit of muscle there. Bentancur and Bergvall, very skillful players. Bergvall will run. Bentancur can bring it forward. They're both pretty good passers of the ball. I'd go with those three. You know what's going to happen. Bissouma's going to play and have a blinder, but there you go. If he does, he does, and that'd be great.
Adrian, despite being short of numbers, that Bentancur, Bergvall, Kulusevski, that has a ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm the same. I mean, the thing with Bissouma is he's such a frustrating player. If he was consistent, we know the talent's there. But he's got the second half of the season to change our minds, hasn't he? So we'll see how it goes. And when Ange gets a few back, because look, if you want to defend the players without over defending them, all the players have been overplayed. Has that affected their form or not? Has it affected their form? Well, tiredness is going to affect you in one way or another. So I'm not a fan of Bissouma, even if it's a tiredness issue either. right? I want to see more because when he's been fit and healthy, and we've had early this season, he was like one game okay, next game poor. So I get that, but I think play it deep. Kulu's more creative. Madison's not playing, so you're going to want a bit of creativity of Kulu. Bentancur can give, Bergvall can give you creativity as well. So that's why I'd want to go that way. Plus, we got more with like Kulu on the wing. I mean, he offers a bit cover. Or Porro was better. He had a good game, nice cross for the goal and all that. But so I would go. I'm still sticking with Bissouma, Bentancur, and Bergvall. But
Bissouma, Bentancur, and Bergvall. Okay.
Three Bs, isn't it? The three Bs.
Yeah, keeps it simple. Eugene,
there's a song in there.
Yeah, Eugene, you're the manager. You're picking the team. What three are you going with?
Bentancur, Bergvall, Kulusevski. Just given, I'm hoping that Ange will change things up a bit and will play more on the counter. And if that's the case, we need Johnson on the wing for some pace. If we're going to stick to playing possession football, then I can see Johnson being on the bench and Ange starting Bergvall, Bentancur, Bissouma. But
yeah,
I'd say Bissouma. Again, I'm not a big fan of him. So
yeah, well, I'll make 3 out of 4. I'm going Bentancur, Bergvall, and Kulusevski. I just like the solidity of that. I mean, before we move on to the goalkeeping, it would be fair to say for us to get to a semi-final, we will be going as strong as we can, particularly as we've only could be the biggest upset of all upsets, but we've only got Tamworth, which does give him an opportunity to rest players at the weekend. Let's talk about the goalkeeping situation, because that seems to me to be really interesting. If you work in, I don't know if you haven't picked up the press conference, Brad, I will bring you in because he was asked whether Kinski might play tomorrow night. And he said, well, he's been training for a couple of days. He's eligible, so maybe. So, what would you take from that?
I was asked this question last night: would I play Kinski tomorrow? And my answer was no, because he's only just arrived and had, I said, one training session. But if he's been there since Sunday, and we all know that, I think Van der Ven had one training session, didn't he? And made his debut against Brentford. So he's got previous Ange. So you could see Kinski. So I would like to see Austin. I don't think he did a lot wrong on Saturday. It was his first game in front of a home crowd against a tough team. I think he did okay. I mean, we don't know how fit Forster is, whether he's still got the bug or whatever. But I don't think Austin did that much wrong. So I personally would go with Austin. But if you're saying that Kinsley's been there since Sunday, that is a possibility. And it's obvious, to me anyway, that they brought this Kinski in because they're not too keen on their backup goalkeepers. I mean, Forster, obviously, at the end of the season, his contract's up. I was surprised he was given a year this season as well, to be honest. But Austin, they've given him a 4-year contract, but they don't seem to want to play him. So the Kinski signing suggests to me that Kinski and Vicario will be our two goalkeepers. And to be fair, I wouldn't mind in next season's squad seeing Vicario, Kinski, and Austin as free keepers, and sort of wave goodbye to Forster, say thank you very much, and probably sell the other lad. I can't remember his name now.
Whiteman.
Sell Whiteman, because I think the other two keepers, Gunter and Keesman.
Keeley,
yeah. I think they're young enough to still be loaned out, and I think Gunter could be a good goalkeeper.
And Sam Archer's too young; he's only 16, 17,
but they've got time on their side to be loaned out or whatever it is. But yeah, he could play Kinski tomorrow. I mean, he's shocked us in the past, isn't he? Really? So
Eugene, any thoughts?
That's a tough one. I mean, I can make a case for each of them. I mean, Austin did okay. He wasn't asked to do that much. He had a good game, but nothing special. He made a couple of good saves. His best what he did best was on set pieces. He has a good control of the box, which is good. On the other hand, if you look at Kinski, this year he has a lot of experience in Europe. He played against some big teams in Europe, I believe Ajax, Fibonacci, Valence. I mean, some pretty good teams. So I think he's more experienced than Austin, even though Austin is older. So I could see him play. It's a tough one. I'm not, I can go either way. Forrester obviously has experience, but I don't think he is agile and as good as the other two. But Ange might go with experience, so I'm not sure. It's a tough one.
Adrian, your thoughts? I mean, one of the things that occurred to me, particularly the things that they've been saying, and the length of his contract. I think it's till June 2030. So that's what 5.5 years. Which is a long contract for a young goalkeeper. They clearly have identified him as very much not only one for the future, but one for now to be playing well into the future.
Well, Ange did play Brennan Johnson, give him his debut against Arsenal away.
He did.
A bit different with a striker, though. If he misses a chance, it's not so bad. If a goalkeeper makes a mistake, I mean, if he played Kingsley tomorrow and he made an error or cost us a mistake, you can imagine the flack he's going to get. If he played Forster and it happened, that fans would be saying after fans, well, why didn't you play Austin? Because Austin played so well against Newcastle. So the easy option for Ange is to play Austin. That's the easy option. So, and I think it will be Austin or Forster because Kinski, Tamworth looks the ideal game to give him his blood.
I was thinking that,
I mean, if I'm being conservative now because it's Liverpool, right? That's why I was with my midfield three. But so I would, and I'm normally very attack-minded, but I mean, I would start Austin tomorrow.
To be fair, Adrian, though, just looking at Austin, Ange didn't really ask him to do much. He kicked the ball deep almost every time. He didn't play out of the back, which made sense. And he didn't really have to make a lot of saves. So he did have a good game, but I'm not sold on him at this point.
The only thing I noticed about the only thing I noticed about that, Eugene, you can follow up on this. I mean, like, is that when Newcastle got a corner, because Austin's new, they all crowded the goalkeeper on the goal line, didn't they? And when he was going to kick, there was always two of their strikers on the edge of our penalty area. They were split wide, ready to move in because they're thinking they're hoping to get something on the goalkeeper, make a mistake. But he did it well. What he had to do, he did well, And that might influence Ange. His kicking might influence him. You never know. He could throw Kinski in. I mean, if he screwed up tomorrow, the fans are not going to be in his case. First game, they'll be on Ange's case. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. Ange has pulled surprises before. Even with the injury list, you're never sure who's ready or not. He's pretty coy about it. I'm not against that. I think it's good. I just think Austin will start, but he might go with Foster. They're both not great kickers.
No.
Do we know how fit Foster is?
Well, he said in his presser, all those with illnesses have recovered.
Oh, okay.
So you got to take it. They're all available.
Yeah,
I mean, next week we're going to have Mikey Moore on. But you said earlier about ball carrier, Brad. I'll add to what you said. Your wise words. Mikey Moore can carry the ball. Believe you me, he can carry the ball. So there's two we've got then. Yeah, him and remember Bergvall. Like.
Well, with this illness, I was just to say, and we all know that in recent weeks, people have been having colds and whatever. But I know someone who actually was in hospital with the Nolo virus and was on a drip. So when they said they're ill, I was worried a little bit. It might be actually something more serious than just a common cold. But if you're saying that they're all recovered, then that's probably what it was. One of these 24-hour, 48-hour bugs that's going around. So hopefully that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, my inclination would be to give Austin another game. a lot of it would depend, I guess. The thing about this is it is a cup semi-final, and Forster has all the experience in the world of, big games with Celtic, Champions League, major games, Old Firm games, and stuff like that. Austin hasn't had that kind of exposure, and certainly Kinski hasn't. But I'm inclined to go with what you guys are saying. Kinski at Tamworth just looks so obvious to me. And I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to Kinski tomorrow, letting in a soft goal or something which sets him back. If that was going to happen, it would be better it happened with either Forster or Austin. But okay. So the general consensus is it will certainly be one of Forster or Austin, but a lot will depend upon really what Ange says. But I think the majority of us, at least want Austin to start. Is that right?
Yeah, as I say, presuming if Forster still, although he says he's recovered, if he's just getting over that recovery, and also I still think Forster had that sort of poor game against Man United. Do you want to throw him in again? Well, I suppose he is experienced enough, but and again, we don't know what team Liverpool are going to be putting out. They might have a team that is the same age as Austin, or probably younger. So
yeah. For those of you watching, by the way, we'll maybe some of you have got it on as well, but we'll keep people up to date with the events at the Emirates. It's 0-0, but it's an extremely open game, and Newcastle certainly haven't gone for playing for a draw. They are very much attacking Arsenal and giving them some serious problems. Their passing through the lines has been really, really good so far. So anyway, come at half an hour gone and still goalless. Fullback, we're not exactly overloaded with numbers at the moment, but a choice, Eugene, of Porro, Spence and Reguilon. Any thoughts?
I think that's an obvious one. It's going to be Poirot and Spence. I don't think Ange wants to play Reguilon unless he has no other choice, as we saw over the weekend. So
morning, Peter.
So it's going to be Poirot and Spence.
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah, I think that's what it will be. I do worry about Porro defensively. I think attacking wise, very, very good. I mean, he put that cross in for the first goal, and I think there was a cross in the second half that was, I think, to Solanke, who might have pulled off that brilliant save. But I think I'll go with Porro and Spence. It's a shame that we haven't got a decent left back, because I really would like to see Spence playing his proper position. But that doesn't seem to be the way these days. And again, what's the situation with the centre halves? I mean, Spence did really well at centre half on the Saturday when asked to.
Yeah, I'll come on to
Brad,
that.
To be honest,
Brad, I'll deal with the fullbacks, then come on to the central defence.
All right.
But Adrian, are you as well? It's really got to be Porro and Spence. And maybe
because Ange then has the option against Tamworth for resting Porro, doesn't he? He's played a lot of time. He was better against Newcastle. I mean, obviously the cross for the goal was superb, but he was better defensively against Newcastle. But you never know what you're going to get from Porro defensively, and so if it meant going with Reguilon against Tamworth, that wouldn't bother me at all, because give one of them a rest. Give one of them a rest, and unless he brings someone, you never know, Ange. Unless someone else is nearing fitness, because really, VDV and Romero should be close to fitness by Tamworth.
Sorry, who did you say?
VDV and Romero should be close to fitness come Tamworth, I think, unless there's another week or whatever. But yeah. So and look, he's coy because he didn't mention Davies either, and Davies was supposed to be short term, so he's another one who could come in at left back or left centre back. So I think we might see a good few changes. I mean, in the midfield, he'll rest who doesn't play tomorrow rather. I'm really looking forward to the game because these are, anyway. Yeah, so, Porro and Spence, Reguilon on the bench, yeah. I spelt Reguilon wrong, but there you go. Ian, you're on mute. Ian, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, my good lady
right.
came in.
Fair
So,
enough.
yeah, sorry about that. So, yes, I am on mute. Sorry. Yeah, that's the fullbacks. We're all agreed, I said, on Porro and Spence. The central defenders, the two central defenders, I gather, Brad, that as I say, we were talking earlier, the illness has gone. So, it really has to be Dragusin and Gray, doesn't it?
Mm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they've done. I think they've done okay in the last, since they've been asked to do as a pair. I mean, yeah, they've made errors here and there, but I think, Gray has been, I think, playing outside not his proper position, has been pretty outstanding, really. So, but yeah, I think Dorrington. I guess Dorrington would have played before now if Ange had thought he was ready, but he only got 15 minutes against Southampton when we were 5-0 up. So maybe he doesn't quite trust him at the moment. And again, as we keep saying, we got Tamworth on Sunday, so you could well see Dorrington make his full debut on the Sunday. But I don't know anything about Malaki Hardy. I'm presuming he's one of the young lads they got there. I've heard the name, but yeah, you'd say Dragusin and Gray.
Yeah.
Just a note on Gray. I mean, fans probably won't realise if it weren't for all these injuries, he wouldn't have got all these games he's had. But he's had 22 appearances now in 3 different positions, and he hasn't let us down once. So for me, he's a squad member now. He's an oven-ready squad member, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah.
I put chocolate in my mouth thinking you were going to talk.
Go on, Eugene, carry on. Obviously, you're going for Dragusin and Gray.
Yeah, that's an obvious one. Although I think I might like Spence at center back more than Dragusin, especially when we're pressed. He can actually handle the ball. He can find the pass. So, obviously Spence is going to have to play on the left, but the more I watch Dragusin, the more I realize he might be a good defender in isolation, but he doesn't fit what Ange wants to do, especially against the pressing teams. He's not good enough on the ball. So
there are a lot of variations.
So.
There are a lot of variations because tiredness could be one as well. I mean, we've seen him have half decent games. We've seen him look shaky. We still don't really know what we've got until you got a fit squad and players are rotated. So they are fresh. A fresh Dragusin playing badly, you get rid of him, right? If he's going to do that, but we still. I'm not going to come down harshly rejecting Dragusin. I think there's something in there. There's a player in there, and I'm not one of those who were calling for Ashley Phillips to come back from Stoke because if you do that, we know that VDV and Romero are probably a week away, maybe 2 weeks away from being back in the team. Then Ashley Phillips will be sitting on the bench for the rest of the season. Well, that's not good for his development. If the players are out on loan, leave them out on loan. Fight your way through this, you know what I mean? Because there is light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, Levy has paid the electricity bill, you know what I mean? So,
if the players were coming back from loan, Adrian, I would have thought they would already be back.
Yeah,
they'd have been recalled as soon as we could recall them, if we can recall them. I mean, I don't know what's in the contract.
The only one who might be coming back is Eloge Velez because he's not been getting the game time on loan. So, he might be coming back, but
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be a pessimist, but I think Van der Ven, I think he'll be out with injuries on a regular basis, just given once your Hemi goes, it's not a good situation. So we need to go out and buy a defender. Hopefully a left-footed defender who can play both left back and left center back. Because Ashley Phillips isn't an option. Dorrington isn't an option if we want to still challenge, for Europa, for FA Cup. We need to buy a proper left-footed center back.
They're huge talents. I think Vaskovic is even better. He's the
for
best.
The future. I agree, but this year, I'm afraid
he'll come in the summer and he'll go straight into that squad. Right. So
I need to stop you. Not that there's anything happened at the library, but Jose is a massive colleague of ours, friend of ours, the leader of ours. Oh God, excuse me. And he had a bit of an accident yesterday. This is what happened when old men play football and decided to have a punch up with a concrete wall.
No.
And lost. He nearly won on points, but unfortunately the concrete wall threw the knockout punch, and he was counted out. So he didn't look too good, but it's good to see you on, and we'll do the catch up show.
Yeah. Wish you a speedy recovery, Jose.
Yeah, I just said that I actually had a text exchange or a WhatsApp exchange with Jose earlier. I got 10 bloody results right and not one.
I think we might have a goal at the empty crates. Newcastle might have scored.
I'm behind, but
okay. Well, Spurs against Newcastle in the final. Then that's it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Have you noticed that whenever Tottenham and Arsenal play in two separate semi-finals, I don't mean, it never becomes a Tottenham Arsenal final, does it? One of them will get there and the other one won't.
I'm on a stream, so I'm going to be a little bit behind you, Brad. But
sorry,
I won't say no, that's fine. If you want,
thanks, Brad, for spoiling.
Adrian, I wanted to bring you in on this because you know a fair bit about Dorrington, don't you? You've seen a lot of him.
6'3", prefers his right foot. He's 2-footed. He's always played on the left centre back position in the under-21s, and he can play as left back as well. Whether Ange fancies him or not, I don't know. He's talented, like so is Phillips. Phillips is just an inch taller. You know, they're both units. You know, Vuskovic again, 6'3" as well. You know, I mean, you can be hard to judge the under-21s when they're sweeping all before them last season. You're watching all the games. Everyone looks good. The only position we didn't look fantastic was in the left and right back positions. But, you know, so I like the player. I think he might be slightly better on the ball than Phillips, but they're good on the ball. You find now that all players are very good on the ball. They're better on the ball than Dragason's been anyway, that's for sure.
Well,
right?
I'm better on the ball than Dragason. In terms of this comment about, and I need to bring Eugene back in a second, but in terms of Dorrington, hasn't he been carrying an injury? So he's another one that maybe they want to bring him, you know, they don't want to put him in too much too quickly.
He had an ACL towards the end of he was out for a long time with an ACL because he's looked good, and then he got the ACL injury. So I assume he's fit now, but he needs to get game time. And also with these youngsters, you can't keep leaving them on the bench. You've got to send them back to the under-21s to get game time.
Yeah,
they're going to get rusty, So I have no idea what the bench will be like.
Eugene, it might be a little bit of an unfair question, but would Tamworth on Sunday be a perfect opportunity to give Dorrington a start and plenty of minutes?
Of course. We should rest as many players as we can, so it would be a good time for him to play. And I mean, I slightly disagree with Adrian about playing Dorrington and maybe Vuskovic next year. Maybe it's a philosophical thing, but I feel like we have so many youngsters now who would be a part of the squad. We need some leadership in order to bring them in and in order to show them the ropes. And I feel like, especially on the defensive side, we don't have that leadership to show Vuskovic and Dorrington how to play. Romero, unfortunately, he's not the leader I thought he would be. And Van der Ven is still young. Dragusin is young. So we don't have any experienced center backs who can take those kids under their wing. My fear is...
It was interesting. Yeah, Eugene, it was interesting. Decky took the armband.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yep.
And he's captain of Sweden. I don't think there'd been many complaints if he was given the captaincy, but they're not going to, after next season, they're not going to take it away from Son. Yeah. But he should be a vice captain at least.
Yeah.
But so that's why I was saying I prefer that we bring in an experienced center back who can play, but also be kind of a role model for the kids. Because otherwise, too many youngsters, especially on the defensive side, I don't know if that's a good thing for us at this point.
Yeah.
Are there many experienced centre backs out there that are pacey, which you need for the system? You know, so.
I mean, you go through the list of the players.
Yeah, we got.
Them,
what they've said, Eugene, you want to comment on this, is that they don't want to bring in players that are going to block the route to the first team for the players that they've got. I mean, we picked up Phillips. Dorrington, I think, has come through the academy.
Vaskovic
is a young lad that we picked up from Croatia, who appears to have all the attributes at this stage of his life, all the attributes for being an absolutely top class player.
Truly, and 12 mil for a 16-year-old. When have Spurs have ever done that? 12 mil. We paid 15 mil for Roden. 12 mil, and we come from Hajduk Split, and every league he stepped up to the Polish league, now into Westerlo, where he's with Alfie Devine. And the pair of them are like, they're sort of doing well. Most Alonies are doing well.
Yeah,
I've heard him. He's very similar to Guardiola at Man City.
He's 6 goals in 20 games. He's not. Funny enough, you all talk about pace. He's not. He doesn't look that quick, but he seems to get forward. Bicycle kick goal he scored, like any strike. But like he is a presence. He looks huge for 17, like shoulders out here, and like you think like, but he reads the game so well. He could play as a 6.
Yeah. So look, I agree with you guys about we need to bring the youngsters in and not block the pathway. But again, like I rant about it every single time on every single stream. It goes back to the plan and the messaging from the club. If the plan is the youth movement that we're gonna bring in the youngsters, that's great. But I want that spelled out, because otherwise, if the plan is we're gonna challenge, then that's not the route to go. So we're kind of right now stuck in the middle where we do want to see the youngsters, but on the other hand, the club says we want to challenge, and those two things are not compatible, right? So that's kind of my confusion.
Yeah, I get that with you, Eugene. And I was thinking just then, because I gave Ian a list of like loads of groups of people we've been interested in. That'll probably bring up some of them later, but like this is when I think I would go for someone like Skriniar, who I didn't put on the list, even though he's 30 or whatever, only because unless the club know what Romero's going to do,
right? Because
he's a beast, Skriniar, like, and he reads the game well, is ever so good, not the quickest, but he's just a quality, experienced defender that I would take. If Romero's not going to sign a contract with 2 years left in it, I would sell him. Right? No more this messing about with players running down to 1 year and all this and holding the club to ransom stuff. You know what I mean? So not that they do, it's just that they could. Some could, like in Dombelli or someone like that. So then I would go for experience. Otherwise, I don't think they are. I mean, by experience, we know central defenders tend to mature as they get older, read the game better, but I assume you're talking 25, 26 years upwards.
Yeah. Like if we want to compete on all fronts, I would not be comfortable playing Dorrington or Vuskovic in Europe, their first year, right? They need time to mature, slowly brought along. So, but meanwhile, that's happening. We need some help right now. So we just need a better version of Ben Davies, perhaps. Somebody who can play for us and be a leader, because Romero isn't it, and Van der Ven is too young. So
we'll come back to, because these are the real strategic decisions. We as fans, we just think, just go and buy a player. They want 50 million, give them 50 million. But,
right.
If I had a criticism of Levy, and I'm not the biggest Levy outer, I'm certainly not a Levy inner or a Levy lover, but we'll say it's next Tuesday. The discussion I was going to have with Sean. But if I had one criticism, and I've got more than one, but if I had one criticism of Levy, it would appear to be the lack of joined up thinking, the lack of anything that might sound like a consistent and coherent strategy for the development of the club. And actually, ironically, this is for the first time, I think I can see what they're trying to do. Albeit when Eugene said, and actually I wish Ben was on, because when Ben comes on and he says, I'm 30 whatever, and I've never seen us win anything. For those of us, older folk, and Eugene, you're a young man too, but for those of us in our, 60s and 70s, we have seen some great times and some great trophies, and I can understand where somebody like Ben says, all I want to do is see us win a cup. And of course, a long-term youth strategy, as Eugene says, doesn't win us a cup. That doesn't win win you a cup.
That suits a younger person more than it suits us, though.
Yeah.
But to be honest, and I've had these arguments. Winning a cup is great, but I don't care. And maybe that's an American mentality since I didn't grow up with FA Cup. But for me, I want to see a club that competes on regular basis for big trophies rather than just winning one cup every decade and saying, hey, we won a cup, right? And maybe, again, I have more patience because in American sports, we don't have cups. So some clubs, they don't win for decades and decades and decades, 40, 50, 60 years. So I guess maybe I'm more patient, but instead of being Man U and winning 2 cups, I'd rather be like Liverpool or even Arsenal, unfortunately, and be competing for those big trophies, even if we don't win.
I agree with you on that, Eugene. But I think Ange Postecoglou, that's his thinking as well. That's his philosophy. I think it was Pochettino's philosophy. Yeah, I think if there's going to be any season that we can go and actually win a cup, it might be this one, because I think the league position at the moment, we could go up the table, of course we could, but I think any sort of thought of top 4 or top 6 possibly is a bit of a step too far. So if we're actually going to go and win a trophy, and I do think it is a big monkey on our back at the moment. You only have to look at some of the Paddy Power adverts to realise that. But if we're going to win a trophy and get that monkey off our back, I think this season is the season to do it. And my own personal opinion is I'm not that worried about where we finished this season. I'm not talking about following season. I'm talking about this season, where we finish. And obviously, I don't want to get relegated, but if we can win something, and I think we're 3 games away from, or 2 games away from a League Cup win. There's probably not many teams in the Europa League that actually no teams in the Europa League, I fear. I think we can beat any one of them. And in the FA Cup, you'd think that we get through against Tamworth, and then it's always the luck of the draw. So I think that there is a chance this season that winning the cup is a possibility.
I want to see an upturn though, Brad. I mean, I'm sure we will when players coming back. There's too much quality in this squad for it not to happen. But if we won, say, just the League Cup, I mean, I want the Europa League. That's the one I want. I really want. But if we won, say, just the League Cup, we carried through the season, injuries here and all that. We're not going to. I don't believe we're going to have the same amount of injuries we've had. It's worse than last year, miles worse than last year, and we got 5th last year, right? Because we had less injuries. But I mean, I don't want winning a trophy to paper over the cracks if I don't see some growth and an upturn in the squad by the end of the season, because the league results, they count. And you put a marker down to other teams. If you're playing well, you want them to be frightened of you. You know what I mean, and things like that. And even it means we know we're not going to get top 4. We could get top 6 still. Or we could get it by default because we don't know what's going to happen to Man City and Chelsea. As much as I like to earn anything we get by right, I'm still taking it because there's times when we've been left out of European competitions because other teams have qualified in Europe and things like that. So, so I don't want it to paper over the cracks because I think that would be too easy an excuse.
No, I agree. I just think it's a thing that a lot of teams that do have success will start off with a cup. So it's a starting point.
The reason I say that, it's like Eugene alluded to, not liking Basuma, and I think we're all a bit like this with Basuma. Some a bit like that in Maddison, but he does bring you something different. He does offer you something different. But this is why, if we're not going to go for a midfielder in this window, which I want us to do, right? I want us to get one. I know we're well stocked there, but we were well stocked with loads of players before we got rid of 16. You know what I mean? So,
Adrian, I'm going to be the bully host. I'm going to
go
stop
on.
because we're going to come back and talk about transfer targets, as you well know, because you wrote them out. I prepared a very different show to the one that I'm actually hosting. You know, but no, I won't bring up any of the banners there, even for a giggle.
No, you can. I mean, you can, because I made them earlier, so we've got go-to banners in case things like this happen.
It's like bloody Blue Peter, isn't it?
If
YouTube, I know what I'm talking about, but you know, here's one I made earlier. You know.
Yeah.
Right, Brad. Let's have you then. Let's get you in up front. I mean, not least of it, I'm thinking you've had the game on. You probably maybe had more of it, been able to watch more of it than me because I'm hosting. But Newcastle, I don't know, I haven't checked Arsenal's team, but certainly Newcastle have gone very strong tonight. I expect we'll go strong out there. I mean, I think you can discount Moore and Yang from any possibility of starting. Moore's not quite ready yet, and I'd be staggered if Yang was even included in the even if he was on the bench. To be honest, maybe not with the numbers we've got, but I mean I think he's one that if they think he's ready, he's another one that could be
would you put
town.
Yang on the bench for the match day experience in front of what's going to be a raucous crowd tomorrow and get him used to it?
Well, that's fair dues. But of the three, assuming you're like me, you're playing Kulusevski in midfield, that really leaves you three from 4 of Son, Solanke, Johnson, and Werner, and presumably you're playing Solanke in the middle. So that doesn't give you many options.
Yeah, I mean Solanke and Son. I think the reason that Son was on the bench on Saturday was saving him for tonight, because Son is, despite what people might think of him, he's a match winner, and we haven't got many match winners. And he is one that can do something extraordinary and win a match. Solanke, well, there's no other choices here really. And then if you're playing Kulusevski in the midfield, I guess you're looking at Johnson on the right. I'm trying to think. Johnson did he play the whole game on Saturday?
I think he did, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah. So he's going to be
slightly... he did.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't see as you say, but I hope we do go as strong as we possibly could. Newcastle have gone strong tonight. Arsenal haven't exactly put a weakened team out. It's a reasonably strong team from them as well. So
I haven't looked. As I say, I'm trying to keep my eyes on the chat and on the things.
But I think we certainly should go. And I hate saying, I hope Liverpool play their second string team, but I want to win, so I do. We've got to go all out to get as a bigger win as we possibly can tomorrow, because I think we're going to need it
to take. So, Eugene, who you playing up front then?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, unfortunately, I do think Liverpool is going to play their first team, just given that they also have an easy FA Cup match over the weekend. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get lucky. But for me, again, it depends how Ange wants to set up. If we'll play more on the counter, then Johnson fits. But I mean, I think Ange might want to protect Porro a bit and start Kulusevski on the right-hand side, just, for his engine and tracking back. So if we play the way we usually play, and given Liverpool their explosiveness, I think Kulusevski might start on the right-hand side and Johnson, to come off the bench. But again, for me, against Liverpool, I would rather play on the counter and sit back a bit. And if that's the case, I'd play Johnson on the right for his pace. But that's a tough one. I think Ange is going to play Kulu and St. Johnson. That's my feeling.
Adrian, how do you think he'll approach it? Angel approach this game tactically. It's not really his style to play on the counter at home.
This is why I picked. This is why I picked. I don't know what Angel will do. He can always surprise you. That's why I picked as Brad rightly alluded to, the 3 Bs in midfield, whereas you guys went for Kula in midfield, because I just think it's just a bit more solid, and that's why I would go. You got to play Son, Solanke, and Kulusevski on, and then you'd have to play Kulusevski on the right. You've still got Johnson and Werner to bring on when legs are tired. They might not be. Werner might not be, but he can be a nuisance in the last 20 minutes. It's 25, like. So then you've got a lot of pace to bring on, and I think that's when you can really. When we've won these games and we scored 3 goals in the last 20 minutes, it's always been when there hasn't been. We brought subs on that are quick, and moved the ball a lot quicker. And I just think that'd be a useful weapon to have. I mean, I'm a bit reluctant to leave Johnson out with his goal scoring rate, but Solanke's got 10. I think Johnson's got 11, and Son's got 5 and 6 assists. Kulu's got about 8, I think. You think he's got 8 and assists now, isn't he? Because he scored 5 and a turn in 5 games on a spin, or 5 or 6. So without checking the stats, I'm happy with those 4. I'm not happy with Werner, but I'm happy with those 4.
You know what?
I just hope Werner's mum likes him.
For me, I don't even care who plays. For God's sake, I just want to see some crosses in the box like Pro did. I have no idea why we're not crossing the ball, but just please, whoever is starting on that wing, just put in some crosses for Solanke into the box.
Just on that note, Eugene, I don't know if fans are aware. See, when some people go on stats like that, I always go to check things up. I'm not mad on stats. But I think Solanke's played 151 Premier League appearances. Apart from that header he scored against Newcastle, right? He's only scored 6 headers. There's a bit of a myth about crosses into the box I still want to see crosses into the box, because defenders can mistime a header, make a mistake, slip, might spin off their leg or knee. So you should still put crosses in the box, because you've got a chance of causing a bit of chaos and feeding on the scraps. So I'm in agreement with you there, right? Definitely in agreement with you there. But there's a bit of myth with the goal scoring from heads. In fact, if you did all the Premier League stats for headers, it's very low for the amount of goals.
No, I agree, and I've heard you use that stat. But I'm just saying, given the way he finished his chance against Newcastle, he has a knack for scoring goals with his head. I feel like, and he's a big lad as well. I just think we just do that low cross into the box, and we do it again and again and again.
He's looking a different proper striker now, because even though they talk about that goal he scored when he weaved his way on the penalty area past players and slotted it in the corner, that was Harry Kane. That was Harry Kane, that goal. And I thought, I didn't know he could do that. I didn't know he had that in his locker.
The only one thing I will say about Solanke, I have noticed that his first touch sometimes lets him down.
Yeah.
I think that happened on Saturday as well. A really good cross, and it just bounced off his chest, and we missed a chance of at least getting the shot away. But I'm pleased with him, certainly.
Brad, I can add a positive with that. His first touch is better than Richarlison's first and second touch.
Well, there you go. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah, second touch is a tackle. Just actually, before I want to talk about transfer rumours, but since Arsenal's form's really dipped since Saka's got an injury, and it's like, hang on a minute, they've got one injury and the wheels are falling off. That might be a slight exaggeration, but they've certainly hit a dip. We've got 10 injuries, and 9 injuries, and you just have to get on with it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Let's talk transfer rumours. Adrian, I'll start you off here, because you're probably the best. I might be the man on the laws of the game, but you're pretty good on the administrative rules of what you can and can't do. So this is the loan market rule. So
I think this is a new rule, actually. I'm not sure what the rule was last year, but you're allowed 6 loans, a maximum of 4 foreign and a maximum of 2 home. That's the Premier League. I know in the Championship they're allowed as many as they can have, which isn't a bad rule, right? But and as many from the same club, which is also a no-no, so So I'm sure there's plenty of clubs out there in the Championship that will lump to take 3 or 4 of our under 21s.
Is that for the Premier League? Is it?
Yes, for the Premier League.
So, sorry, is that the number of loans?
There's an extra if you
out?
were unfortunate to have a catastrophe of all your goalkeepers. I think then the rule goes out and you're allowed to bring another one in, right, on the goalkeeping front. But yeah, that doesn't.
Sorry, Adrian, can I clarify? Is that the rule? That the number of loans you're allowed out?
I think loans out. I think we loaned out loads of players, didn't we? Under 21s.
That's loans in.
Well, no, I mean we loaned out Josh Keeley, didn't we? We loaned out with Keeley and Donnelly went to Orient, Abbott went to Notts County, Matthew Craig went to Barnsley or someone. Then you've got other loans out there as well, haven't you? You know, you've got Devine and Vaskovich are at Westerlo. I mean, so I don't know if that. It's because they're academies or not, but I mean Chelsea at one time they had loads of players loaned out, about 16 or something, didn't they? I mean, I'm not fully up to the rules. I think you can loan out as many as you can, but not more than 2 to any other Premier League club. But in the Championship, they can have as many as they want. They can loan as many as they want. So yeah, that's my understanding. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me because people like nothing better than correcting you when you're wrong, right, you know.
I definitely want to get on to Moani in terms of transfer rumours. But, Adrian, you put this list together. So before I bring in Eugene and Brad, I'm going to get you to talk through some of these names because obviously, I had a show prepared that's not gone ahead. So
well, I have to say that I'm looking at those players. I think I know Tillman. But the others, no. I might have read about them. But
the first 3, Henko, Tillman and Pepe, they're in the Eredivisie. Itakara's in. He's a very fast Japanese or Korean centre-back. He's in Germany with Marmoush. Marmoush is with Eintracht Frankfurt. We looked at him last year. He is fast. He's smashing it this year. We know that Tyrek Mitchell's the left-back out of contract with Crystal Palace. The only reason I put these ones in here because the next 2 banners, one's got all the interested players that we are in France, and the next one's got the interesting players we are in Italy, you know. And when you see the list, you know, it smells of Paratici, basically, the links with the Italian players in Italy. So, so Tillman's the brother of the player at Arsenal. He's attacking midfielder. Henko again, I'm not sure. Where's he with? If you know, Eugene, where Henko is, he with PSV or is he with Feyenoord?
I know the name, but I don't recall exactly which team he plays.
He's in the Eredivisie anyway.
Yeah.
Pepe the same. He's a young striker. Well, he's 21. I'll put the ages
he's
in.
He's American, so I like him. I've seen him play.
You like him there, yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's a young lad.
But out
of these players, only one is a homegrown player, I'm presuming.
Yeah, Tyrek Mitchell here. Like Itakuru. He can play as a fullback as well. He is fast, and they want to offload him apparently. So maybe the German club, where is he with? I can't remember who he's with, but some of the other clubs I do know where they are. But so no, he's very quick, and Ange liked him. I think when he was at Celtic. So I don't know. I mean, like So
I mean, Brad, let me bring you in on this then. Tyrek Mitchell, I mean, of Crystal Palace, I gather he's out of contract in the summer, which sounds like a typical Levy move. But I have to tell you, every time I've seen him, I've thought he's a really good player that would really fit the way we play. And he'll be cheap. His wages will no doubt be affordable. Any thoughts?
Actually, that is the one player that I was reading some comments on either Twitter or one of the WhatsApp groups on the weekend, and I think I know no one likes talking about it, but we have to think about the Europa League squad. Now, it's different from the Premier League squad. You know, the fact that we've got him with 3 goalkeepers and Spence can't get a game. I think the way Spencer's been playing, you've got to include him in a Europa League squad.
Yeah.
And the fact that we got a new goalkeeper who, again, is another foreign player, that's going to, make things difficult. So I think we need to look at this, but I'm not so sure they do. I don't know. They just get the players and then worry about it. I think it's only people like us and famously Ellie Gold that worry about it. But yeah, I think I have heard good things about Tyrick Mitchell and exactly what you were saying, Ian, that he'd fit our system well. And I did actually. I said I didn't watch the press conference today, but I have been reading snippets of it. Because every time you mention something, Ian, I'm thinking, oh yeah, did I read that during my lunchtime today? With Tyrick Mitchell or Ange Postecoglou saying that it's no use just getting a player for the sake of it and then finding out he's a bad buy. So I think we obviously need players that are going to fit his system, and I think Postecoglou's system is going to be here for a while. So yeah, Tyrick Mitchell sort of ticks all the boxes there, and a typical Levy signing. It's the one thing that annoys me when we talk about being up there and competing with everybody, yet we still go for the free transfers. That's not exactly a winning mentality, which we need to get.
Yeah. So. My daughter's partner, the three of us have a little WhatsApp group, just sent me a message. There's only one Spurs player in the top 30 highest paid players in the PL, Sonny in 28th place. For a game-changing stadium, that's not a good look, Eugene, is it?
No, that's why I was looking. That's why I was looking forward to the discussion with Sean.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Eugene,
that's up my alley. I mean, that's what I've been harping on for a long, long time, as Adrian knows. When people say Levy has spent money, that Ange spent 350 million, like all that's not relevant. Especially, if you look at how much the clubs around us are spending, what matters is the wage bill. And we've cut $40 million or pounds or euros off our wage bill. So we don't pay wages. And that's why you don't see any elite players, any top players come to Spurs, which is unfortunate. So
I think there was also a discussion either in the Guardian paper or maybe the Guardian YouTube channel about this very thing, where they're saying that statistically and the teams that pay the most wages had the most success.
Obviously.
And unfortunately
people say it's the Champions League or it's Europe. As far as I remember, every time we've made Champions League, we didn't follow it up with any top signings. So for us, it doesn't matter whether it's Europa League, Champions League, or no Europe. We still sign the same caliber of players. So unless we change our wage structure, unfortunately, I don't care about like engine and Zhao tactics, who the manager is. Ultimately, the players on the pitch make most of the difference. To me, that's my opinion. And until we start bringing in top players, for example, to tie it back to the transfer conversation, like Tyrick Mitchell is a good player. I like him, but will he be able to challenge Destiny for that, starting 11? I don't think so. If the club would be ambitious, they would bring in, for example, Robinson from Fulham.
Okay. He was another one that was mentioned in that chat.
He's a good player.
It might have even been you in the chat, actually, talking about it.
Maybe. Yeah. And Robinson would actually challenge Destiny for that, the position. With Mitchell, but Mitchell would be a backup, and we don't want backups. So, again, in one sense, it makes sense, but
is that
I don't know.
Fair? Eugene, is he not a player genuinely that would be challenging Udogie for a place in the big games, and they would both be good players that could rotate with each other?
But is Tyrick Mitchell, again, he is a good player, but is he the level of player that we need to take us to that next level? I don't think he is. So again, for me, I prefer us getting top players or players with potential. And Mitchell, he's been in the league for what, 7 years now, 6-7 years. He's been playing for a while.
I've got his age up there. I don't know how old he is.
Yeah, I think he's like 26, maybe.
Is he?
Yeah, I might be wrong. But...
Yeah, I think you had him as 23.
Oh, 20, oh, really? Okay, then I'm off.
Well, that's what's on the screen.
Yeah, again, just
my opinion. I agree with you. Eugene, the only thing I will say is I don't think we're going to be signing any top quality players in the January window. I think it's something we don't do.
Exactly.
But it's something that we need to look at in the summer.
I think it's hard to assess players in the Premier League, and if you're a Spurs fan, unless you're watching every game on Sky, which I don't do, right? Then because I'm very Spurs centric, trying to find out everything I can about our club all the time and posting videos. And if a transfer rumour gains gravitas, you'll all get plastered with the videos because I'll put them in every group I know, right? So that's what I do. So as you get an idea, no, which stops people going like, oh, he's rubbish, what we're looking at. Well, go and have a look at the player and then give me your opinion, right? But you're right, Eugene. I mean, like, we shop in Poundland where other clubs shop in Harrods, don't we? You know what I mean? So, and it's not that the stadium hasn't been a game changer. Financially, it's been an enormous game changer. Wages have gone up and we have spent 1.1 billion on players. But this is quality over quantity, isn't it? I mean, like, where's the quality, as you've alluded to? You know, we'd have done better if not. See, with Ange wouldn't have brought Joe Rodon in. He'd have said, no, I'd rather go with what I've got. He would. Unless you need a manager like that. No, I don't want him. You know, Jack Clark we brought in for 10 mil as well. Looks like Gill's going to have to go at cut price, you know. All these players now that we brought in that were supposedly going to have a sell-on value are going to create a loss for us, you know. I mean, it's hard. I mean, with these, I haven't seen enough of Tyrick Mitchell or any of these other players on this first group. Like I say, when the stories gain gravitas and a lot of the tier one media picks up on them, then I'll go and get videos of them, but not until, you know. I like the words, you know, we've spoken to the agent, you know, it's confirmed, or the players agreed terms, or the clubs are talking. That's what I want to hear, you know.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Ian.
Mr.
know...
Potato Head, by the way.
Even Spud. Everyone calls him Spud.
Brad, I may have to refer it to my lawyer before I answer.
Well, all I can say is you know Ange pretty well from having watched Celtic play.
Yeah.
I get annoyed at some of the people in Twitter and YouTube saying he's a yes man, because I personally, from what I know of him, don't think he's a yes man at all. And if things don't go the way he wants it, he'll walk. So that's my question to you. Am I right in that opinion?
I think you're 100% right. I mean, it does. Social media does drive me bonkers. I use it all the time, but there are people that say things without any knowledge whatsoever of the situation. I mean, unless you've spoken to Ange, and in particular, if you've had the opportunity of seeing Ange and Levy interact on a regular basis, you have pardon my language, no fucking idea whatsoever. And I certainly never got the impression he's anybody but his own man. And certainly not, you know, oh, he was cheap, he's a yes man. You know, people use these little tropes because they want to satisfy their own it's almost confirmation bias for themselves. You know, if I say Ange is Ange is a yes man, that justifies part of my argument because I want to get rid of him, or it's another reason why, you know, we need Levy out of the club because all he does is employ yes men. The fact that you've got no idea whatsoever, but all I've seen of him suggests to me he would be anything other than a yes man. I think he's a man that very much knows his own mind.
That's my impression from what I've read, what I've seen. But you know, I mean, as I say, I like you're saying, I'm not in the room with you know, Ange talking to Levy on that sort of thing. But what I've read about him, suggests that.
I would be astonished, and I suspect as well that most of his dealings now are through Scott Munn. I would be a little bit surprised if he has massive, with the structure in place, massive day-to-day contact with Daniel Levy on the playing side. I imagine he deals with with Munn, who then deals with Lange and Paratici, and that's what how they go about doing the business. I know Levy was meant to have been in Prague to tie up the loose ends with the Slavia Prague deal. But Adrian will know because he's seen the schematic and the banners I created. ENIC at one point owned Slavia Prague.
They did, yes. I was going to say that. Yeah,
they owned a good percentage of it. Yeah. So it wouldn't be surprising. Oh, I'll go and see my old mate Yannick in Prague, and it's a beautiful city anyway.
I've been there. It's very nice. Yeah.
And I'll go and see him, and I'll get these ends tied up. That doesn't seem to be silly. In the same way, if he's gone, we're going to talk about Moani in a minute. But if, as alleged, he's gone to Paris again, we know he's got a good long-standing relationship with Paris Saint-Germain, because one, there was talk that they wanted to take a stake in the club. Might be difficult, of course, because of their relationship with Paris Saint-Germain, but would they be prepared to relinquish that in order to acquire a top English club rather than the top French club, but it's only the French club? And of course, they were involved with the Super League as well. So I don't have any problems with that. Anyway, let's move on from that, because Adrian, one of the things, there's another list
this list I split up because it's all Italians, and I'm sure you guys are thinking, I smell Paratici here. So Dorgu, I mean, I've got him down left back, left wing, right wing. They've played him on the right wing at Lecce. They've played in everything. This kid is a talent, though. He played in the under-21 tournaments for Denmark, because he's a Denmark-Nigerian extraction, I think. And he looks a talent, but he's young, isn't he, you see? Fratesi is not getting the game time at Juve for some reason. I'm not sure where Faglioli is. I know that Christian's at Udinese, and he can play at fullback as well. And Tomori, well, he was at Chelsea, wasn't he? He's at Juventus as well. So these are good players, in my opinion. All of them are good players, right? I mean, obviously, the less experienced is Christensen and Faglioli, right? But
Christensen, is this the boy at Udinese? Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas Christensen. Yeah, because there's other Christensens out there.
Yeah.
Like
go on,
even I had to go out and check to get his age. Yeah, so that's fine. So, Eugene, this definitely smells of Paratici to me, doesn't it? You?
Yeah. And I think we have a much better track record getting players from Italy than from France or any other country, you know. So I've seen a couple of these players play. I've also seen some breakdowns, some compilations. Dorgu is definitely a talent. From this list, Dorgu would be my number one choice.
Wow.
He's got potential, and he's a good player right now. I've always been a fan of Tomori. I'm not sure why he's not on the England squad. I don't know what's going on, but I always felt he's a very good player. For Fratesi, they're good as well. So, I mean, this list I fancy more than the previous list that we saw.
One player not on the list, Adrian, is Cardozi, or whatever his name is.
No, he'd be on the Cordoso, you mean?
Cordoso, yeah. My thing with names is terrible. As you probably
he's in Italy, I think.
Well, he's on the next list.
In Portugal, right?
I've got him on the next list because he's in
you've
Italy.
got another country. Sorry, I do apologise. I did apologise.
The first one was Germany and Scandinavia.
Come on. Two things quickly. Well, no, I'm going to read this first. I don't know who this is. Florian Plettenberg has tweeted, and someone's put it on the Spurs the talk show chat. Luis Enrique has given Randall Colomwani permission to leave PSG in the winter transfer window. I don't know if there's anything here we don't know. However, Paris Saint-Germain continue to insist that it must be a loan with an obligation to buy, as a permanent transfer is currently unrealistic. Tottenham are pushing for him. Man United, Aston Villa and Juventus are all involved. Chelsea are also interested. Monaco are currently out of the race. And that's from Sky Sports that must be Sky Sports Germany. So we'll come on to that. But I don't think there's anything in that we probably don't know. So before we move on to discuss him in more detail, Tomori, English, available, affordable, or does that mean Romero would be going if Tomori was even remotely coming in, Eugene?
I don't know what his price tag would be right now. Again, I've always liked him as a player. I'm not sure if he would come in and agree to be a squad player, but I'd bring him in definitely. And again, Romero, I've really had high hopes for Romero this season. I've been disappointed, and especially if he's going to leave in a couple of years, as Adrian said, sell him in the summer, and right now bring in the best option. 27 is still young for a center back, so I think Tomori would be a pretty good option, especially that he's English.
If he's playing in the Italian league as well, that's a pretty tough league to play in. So
yeah,
exactly. It's just tactically savvy from being in that league.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Tomori seems to go again the homegrown raw, and I think really, if you're going to play two centre backs, you need four, don't you? Really, you need two in every position. So that sort of fulfills that thing. Being an ex-Chelsea player, will he want to come to Tottenham? We don't know.
And we don't know, guys, do we, whether Ben Davies is going to get given an extension because his contract runs out in the summer.
This is true. I'm interested in Fratesi. What's he like as a central defensive midfielder? Because I think we do lack a little bit of grit and nous in our midfield.
Bite.
Yeah, the Graham Roberts and although I only saw a bit of his career, that my dad's talked about him, Dave Mackay's of our generations. We do need that sort of player.
He can do it all, actually, in midfield for Tozy. Yeah. But it's like saying these players look good, but like the Premier League soon finds you out if you're not.
Well, yeah.
It was interesting. So, just sorry, on a tangent, I would take
Dorgu, definitely, Eugene. I would definitely take him, right?
Oh, Dorgu, yeah. But I was listening to Zlatan. He was given an interview and he was asked what the difference is between leagues. So he said La Liga is very technical, Serie A is tactical, and Prem it's all about pace.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
No, it's pace and power. So the midfielders from Serie A, I have no doubt they're technical and they understand the tactics, but are they powerful and pacey enough to play in the Prem? That's the question. So that's where our scouting needs to come in, and my confidence in the recruiting team isn't at all-time high.
We seem to be taking it seriously for a change. You need to scout your players and go over all the stats and all that sort of thing and how they fit in with the team. We do seem to be taking it seriously. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, at the moment, if you do look at the signings we've made since Postecoglou's been there, Van der Ven, I think, decent signing. Vicario's decent signing. Yeah. So yeah, it's well, I guess we'll see. I mean, you probably, if you looked at any club, they're going to have signings that don't work out.
Right.
The only disadvantage we have with the clubs that have lots and lots of money is if we spend a lot of money on a player and don't work out, then we're stuffed.
Yeah.
Where your Chelseas and your Man Cities, if they spend money on a player and it doesn't work out, they just spend money on another player.
I think some fans have been a bit harsh on Lang as well, because all right, Solanke's in, he looks a proven thing, right? Odegaard, all right, is injured. Gray, been excellent. Then you got Bergvall, very promising. Yang Min Hook, that's 5. I wouldn't say any of them signs of awful. We haven't seen Yang Min Hook, and he scored like 12 goals and 6 assists in 26 games in the K-League, right? So I wouldn't say any of them signings. So I'm not. Paratici's actually strike rate's a lot better. It's a lot better, because where they say in most clubs, if you get it 50% right, you're doing well. Paratici is about 65% with his signings. You don't get them all right, you know what I mean? But you get
to push back a bit, Adrian. Again, I agree with you. So in isolation, all those players are good players. My confusion is that some of them don't fit what Ange is trying to do. So that my question is, why is that? Is that on Ange? Is that on Lange? Again, they're good players like Dragoshin or even Johnson. You know, they're good players, but they don't fit the system. So are they making purchases for the club for the future? Are they doing it now for Ange? That's where I'm questioning the scouting team.
Well, it's oven ready. It's because they're not oven ready, so they are for the future. Archie Gray wasn't oven ready. We knew what he could do in the Championship, and we all thought he will adapt quicker than Bergvall, which has turned out to be true, because he's had to grind his way through the Championship, which is a tough league, you know. So yeah, but they weren't oven ready. And they still, Yang's not going to be oven ready, is he?
But Dragoshin, Werner, Johnson, again, it's just, I don't know. I feel like there's some sort of I feel like Ange and recruiting team might not be on the same page.
Ange is really pissed off with Werner. I thought he was going to get a tune out of him. I think that's why they got him back on loan again. That one's down to Ange, though. Werner is down to Ange because he likes to play with 2 wide wingers. So it's definitely Ange wanted Werner to sign.
But Werner isn't really a winger, right?
Easy deal to do as well, wasn't he? He's an easy deal to do because nobody wanted him.
I must say just good evening to the lovely Lisa.
Yeah, good evening,
thanks
Lisa.
for joining us, Lisa. I hope all is good in your life. Let's talk about these ones, because these are the ones that the ones that we've been strongest at, particularly Cardozo and Moani. The strange thing is, though, before we go on to talk specifics, is it seems that so much of our best transfer dealings are completely under the radar. Nobody had even got a wind of the Kinski deal before it was announced. And it was the same. Okay, you can get that with an international transfer. But even Odegaard, I never saw a thing about Odegaard. Not a whisper on social media. I mean, all right, maybe the Ali Golds of this world have got a tip-off and it's off the record and what have you. But, you know, it's unreal. Adrian, let's bring you in on this.
Well, the Moani one is interesting because, like Odegaard was an opportunity signing, like you do get them. You have your list. No doubt these recruitment teams have had the list because there was no hint through this season that we were going for Moani or Skriniar at PSG. It was only when PSG turned and said, we don't want you anymore, basically, that the opportunity's there. And like you alluded to, Ian, I mean, Levy's got a good relationship with the PSG chairman who wanted to buy a stake in the club. He's flown out there. We know the rumour's true because they flew out economy class, right? So we know the rumour's true. So, like, yeah. And I think there's a very good chance this deal is going to be done because Levy don't waste his time. He's not going out there. I mean, he did the same with Porro deal, didn't he? Because the recruitment team was struggling and Levy flew out and got the Porro deal across the line. I think we're going to get him. I hope we get the version that was in Germany, right?
Let me just say hello to Colin as well. That's 2 Americans on the show. That's too many, but there you go.
Hi, Colin.
I'm joking. That could be Musk and Trump. That's too many, but that's another story.
When you watch him,
out of it.
So, I mean, as Ange likes fast players, this kid does not lack speed, right? And he can play left wing, right wing, through the centre. And he's just, if you could have got to describe him, I suppose I don't want to put him down, but if you could describe him as an Adam Traore that can score goals, with good touch and all that. you don't like it, right? So like, but he's just when he's on point, he's virtually unstoppable, basically.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, as I've shared offline, as we talked about. The first thing is, as I also said earlier, I don't know why Levy is being involved in loan deals. Why is he in Prague and in France? I thought he stepped back and he's letting his team do this. So him being involved, I don't know if it's a great sign. But on Moani as a player, I just think there are some players who dominate lower leagues based on their ability, but when they make a step up, they cannot do it. And as also mentioned before, I feel like this team needs mentality players. We need leaders. And when I look at Moani, he has the skills, but he's not a winger that will cross the ball. He's not really a pressing forward. Yes, he can score goals, but is he what the team needs? I'm not sure. I would take him on loan with an option, but I would not take him on loan with an obligation. I just don't think he's the profile. Maybe I'm scarred by Nkunku and Dombele, but I just seen a lot of players with raw talent who lack the drive and mentality. And this club, if we pay 40 million for him or 50 million, as Brad said, we're going to make a mistake and we're going to be stuck with him for 5 years. So I would rather not take that chance on the player who failed in France of all teams. Like, France is not the toughest league. So if you couldn't do it in France, I think it's too risky. I would rather bring somebody in with the leadership skills who can help the club or the team, like right now. The Moani is too much of a risk.
I don't think any club's going to pay that money. Go on.
Well, Juve and Man U would.
Opinion, because but just shows Brett, just an update from Sky, not Spurs related, but I did wonder, and I said this on Sean's show yesterday, that I wondered if Everton were also talking to Potter, and I gather that both West Ham and Everton are talking to Potter, because it seemed to me to be somewhat odd that the story broke yesterday or even on Sunday that Potter was about to go to West Ham.
I heard that.
Lopeteku's sort of waiting on his red card, and usually when that comes out, the things in the open, and it's the official press releases are out in a couple of hours, whereas we're now sort of nearly 48 hours on and nothing's happened. So it seems to me, I mean, if I were Potter, I would go to Everton. I think. Are
they that much? Is Sean Dyche's job that much in trouble?
I think so.
Really?
If you look at where they are and their recent record, also they're a bigger club than Sean Dyche. I mean, I know, they've not been good in recent years, and in fact, again, one of the things I've got for my banners is with Sean is to discuss alternative ownership, and for example, the mess that Mosri made of complete mess that Mosri's made there. So sort of be careful what you wish for. But if it were me, I would go to Everton. I think they're a club that will give him the time and the space, probably with the new owners, the money as well,
and a new stadium.
And he'll play the kind of football I think that Everton fans will like. Having said that, he'll also play the kind of football that West Ham fans will like. So I think guess also good jobs for him. Yeah,
I guess also it's a new era and a new stadium, new team, new manager.
Absolutely. I just think that Everton job, it would excite me if I were a football person, but I'm not. That's why I sit on my couch and instead of but it's actually a brown sofa, but brown sofa gabbing rather than blue sofa songs. But let me bring you in on, because Eugene has brought some interesting thoughts to the table on Moani. I mean, I must say, what I've seen of him, I'm a fan. But Brad, what's your take? Is this the kind of player we should have?
26 striker, left wing, right wing, quick. Yeah, I mean he ticks all those boxes. But if he's playing for one of the strongest teams in France, and it's not the strongest league in the world, and he's not setting the world on fire, you do have your doubts. And again, it could be another player that he hasn't done very well there, but he might do well at Tottenham. We had that with Werner, didn't we? I don't know. I haven't seen him play. I don't know enough about him. Certainly from what I've heard, if he's 26, quick, striker, left wing, right wing, yeah, that sounds great. But if you can't do it with the strongest team in a league like France, then maybe there is a problem there. But the bottom line is I don't know enough about the player.
But he's done it at international level, Brad. For France.
Right.
I mean, when Adrian, let me bring you in here. I mean, when they were talking about strengthening the forward line, there was also the talk that they wanted to bring in somebody that could play across the line. They weren't just looking for a centre forward or an outside right or an outside left. And this is the forward from Central Casting, isn't it? If that's what they want.
Yeah, and especially help us out on the right wing. He's not a pressing striker as such, but he does give you something different. I mean, if you want a pressing striker, you put Lancashire in there. So Ange would give Ange a lot more options. We get a couple of fit players, and we're going to struggle to pick teams in the future. It's going to be fun doing them on our shows, right? But I like the look of him. But I have the same concerns that Eugene has about him. I mean, because he smashed it in Germany, and hasn't gone so well from at PSG. Mind you, they've always had an abundance of talent. We don't know if it's a system thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to, but you can see he's a talent, whether it's a system or not. You can see he's a talent, right? And I've got every confidence in Levy. He's not going to get done up like an Ndombele deal again. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if they went we pay his wages 150. We're offering him 165 grand now, and instead of offering we'll give you a $3 million season loan fee, we say to PSG, well, cancel the obligation deal, and we give you 5 or 6 million as a loan fee, and we're paying his wages as well. And then they might accept that. That would be more. I love loan to buyers because the player's got to be on his toes when he's got his club. He's got to show that he wants to stay. I don't think Man United in the running. I think Juventus are if he likes a warmer climate, right? I think they are, but they're not. They can't offer what Spurs off. So if you want to go to Italy, it might be because you think, I can win a trophy at Juventus quite easily. He's not, but if he wants to challenge, then he comes to the Premier League. I mean, most players want to play in the Premier League, so I only think Juventus are the only ones. I don't think Man United are in for him. I think they've got other fish to fry, personally. I mean, I don't see it. The media, that you won't be. I don't see there being an auction over it. And if Levy's gone out there, he's coming back with something. There's a lot of players in France we're interested in, but I mean, so it's just. But loan to buy, yeah. I want some insurance. I want insurance where you haven't got a Ndombele. So I'm agreeing with Eugene on that.
And if he was 21 or 22, yes, but at 26, he should be doing better than what he's been doing. So I don't know. And again, French league, Nkunku and Ndombele, we just don't have a good track record buying forward.
The only other caveat I'd add to that, if you can't score goals under the Spurs system, you're never going to score goals, right?
No.
You've great enough chances, right? If you want to improve your strike rate, you come here. We might be losing them at the other end, but you're going to get goals, right?
And ultimately, does he fit what Ange wants to do, right? Is it a Levy signing where it's a big name? Or is it actually somebody who Ange wants and who he can see fit his style of football? I'm not sure.
It's an opportunity signing because this has only come up in the recent couple of weeks.
And that's our issue, right?
And
that's the problem.
They're all club signings to me. They're all club signings, right? And would Ange want him? Well, he's got the pace to do what Ange wants on the right and left. He's got the pace to do that, whether we're talking about through the centre or not. So if Levy can get guarantees, I know what they say, if you want a guarantee, buy a toaster, right? But I mean, like, there are no guarantees, right? But if he can strike a deal that doesn't end up getting stitched up in case he's got a poor attitude or something else, like we find out, this is where the due diligence has got to come in as well. It's not just how good a player is; it's their mental attitude and things like that as well. But I hope we've learned.
I just don't want to see another Johnson who can score some goals, but then does nothing else on the defensive end. Like, that's the thing. We've got pace on the wings as is. We just need somebody who has an all-around game. And Mwani.
Yeah. The only thing I would say in Johnson's defence on that is because Ange likes his wingers to park themselves on the line, at least when they're out there, they'll keeping defenders occupied, whether they're coming back or not, because at least like a defender, if I used to play right back, and I was always looking for where the winger was, so like, and if you could keep him occupied, that's one good thing, but he should be better defensively, in my opinion.
I mean, the thing I think about Moani is, to me, he's such an Ange ball player. The way he can play, the lines, and he can play wide, and he can play through the middle, and he does have a poke on him. Anyway,
there's a couple here from Lille, Gomez and David. I mean, Jonathan David. When I watched him a season ago, I wasn't impressed with him at all.
I don't like him. Yeah.
Angel Gomez, I like. But because he's English, right?
He's played well for England when I've seen him play.
Yeah, I like him. But I think we got someone similar in Bergvall, although Gomez has got more experience. I mean, Bergvall can hit them long passes as well, and drop deep as well. So don't get me wrong, he's not a player I would turn down, but like, I don't know what you guys think about them two.
I couldn't believe how small he was when I first saw him.
And he's on a free at the end of this season.
Well, the old free transfer.
Another Levy special.
Yeah.
Free. Did you say the word free? Because Daniel's ears just pricked up, like,
Yeah. Eugene, what do you know about Cardoso? Do you like
one of these terribly anti-Semitic jokes that gets told, so I can tell it. Is when Moses went up to see God to ask about the commandments. He asked God, how much are these commandments? And God says, they're free. Moses says, I'll take 10. Joke, racial stereotypes, tropes, but there you go.
You should listen to Jackie Mason. You should listen to Jackie Mason.
I'm in a race. I'll probably get, excuse me, reported to some organisation or another.
No,
I want to talk about Cardoso because this is an interesting one. Because this is all part of the Lo Celso deal, and I don't think they paid very much, but they came up with some. I mean, this is where I admire.
This is amazing.
I think only he could have come up with this. Is that we've got an option, as I understand it, to buy the man for £25 million next summer. If someone else offers more, we can match it. Or if we say, no, sell it to such and such, we get 35% of the transfer fee. So it means that if they've got to pay us we've got to pay 25 million. It means that for Betis to be interested, given that they lose 35% off right off the top, that means they have to sell for in excess of 40 million.
Not happening.
I might have put this on the talk show group. They have to sell for 40 million to someone else to get more money than they're obliged to sell to us for. I mean, to me, it's a masterstroke. And if someone else says 50 million, all right, we'll give you 50 million. And Levy says, well, I'm not paying 50 million. But we rake in 17 million in commission for doing nothing.
Yeah. I think it's 25 million euros, 21 mil.
Okay. Well, euros. Okay.
I don't think we're going for him unless it's in the summer. We're pretty well stocked in midfield. As much as I'd like to get rid of Basuma, but you'd have to be able to get rid of them, and I don't think any of these players would be leaving. leaving.
Has he got hamstring problems?
He will have.
Cardosa.
No, he will have.
Not that I know. He's brave. He's very energetic. Right, he's very energetic. He's got decent technique.
What a great name as well, Johnny Cardosa. That's
yeah.
what a great name that is.
He's a good 8. He can defend, get stuck in. I just, but we're looking for Graham Bergveld to do these things that Cardosa and Gomez are going to do, and I want them to be given more game time because we can use the season for that now because we're not getting top 4, so 12th and upwards is where we're looking. So I personally wouldn't go for them. I mean, they're good players. I wouldn't be linked with them if they weren't good.
I mean, I've seen him play a couple of times. He's okay. But again, right, as you mentioned, Adrian, I agree. If we are to bring in a midfielder, specifically hopefully for Bissouma, I want it to be a number 6 that's ready to start right now. That's a difference maker. Cardoso is not. So we need to improve our starting 11, and he's not it. So for me, I would say no.
Yeah. Get rid of Bissouma, bring in Fratesi or even Ederson, who hasn't had a mention this year with us. Yep. So he must be happy where he is because he's not being mentioned. This guy, Maxim
midfield as well. Cardoso and Fratesi, I like
that.
Yeah. I tell you what, we talk about Ange. I'm totally changing the subject here, and I'm watching. I've got 86 minutes 44 seconds on my stream here. Newcastle are playing 2 banks of 5. Not much gap between the front 5 and the midfield 5. No, the back 5 and the midfield 5. There's no forward, and they're just saying if you can find space and score against us, good luck to you.
They haven't. It's been all Arsenal since they got the second goal.
They're all Arsenal, but they've created almost nothing. Almost nothing. But what I'll say is that Ange could play this way, and when people say he's inflexible, although having said that, they're now pressing the ball with 3 up top. So Joe Linton making sprints, but they're now back into a 5-5. It's their organisation and the way Eddie Howe's got them set up, having gone 2-0 up, is absolutely fabulous. As I say, I'm a big Ange fan, but I got to be honest. He could never set his team up like this anywhere, let alone at the Etihad.
Ian, I would kill for their center backs. I mean, they got 2 beasts as center backs, so they're super solid. So I think that's a lot of it. Our center backs they will not be able to absorb pressure and do this.
No.
Well, 5 minutes of injury time, and they're empty seats in the Emirates.
Oh, I can see as well. Yeah. I mean, the sky's on in the main room. I've got a little cubby I come into here, so I just use a stick rather than having multi-screen to watch this. But yeah, there are a lot of people on the Piccadilly line already. I think.
There's a few left here. I mean, Jonathan David is a striker, a more wide player, but I'm not a fan of him.
I'm not a fan either.
Yeah, but this kid,
Mexico, for Canada, he didn't do anything to impress me. I feel like he's too small to be the 9, and he's not good enough on the wing, so I would say no to him.
Now, I've watched this Maxence Caccarat, 24-year-old in France. He's a bowler. He is a bowler, but so you don't know when they come in. Kuzanov, he's from Tashkent in Uzbekistan. He plays for Lens in France. He's
20 years old.
He's an handball player. He's your next VDV, basically off the line. But he's 20. Youth, another central midfielder. So we've got young centre backs coming through. Like any of these, Caccarat, perhaps. I mean, these, but. There's a lot of interest in Kuzanov, and I hope that someone goes out and buys him, right? but because I want our centre backs to be, to be able to come through. You guys heard any of these, no?
Yes, sorry. Well, I'm watching the football while you're talking. Sorry.
That's all right.
very unprofessionally, and go on.
That's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think
we are professional in our unprofessionalism, right? That's what we are.
Didn't I sort of say something about, it's time to get experience to go with the young players we got. So when we're looking at players that are 20, you think, well, we're doing that, So I think we need experience in there.
Out of all of them, if Gomez wanted to come home, I mean, like, unless Man United come in for him, I think City are probably in for Kuzanov, so they can have him, right? Because there's always going to be young players next season out there, right, that are playing well. So, yeah, I mean,
Gomez, no more youngsters.
Gomez 20 on a free at the end of the season. Why not? You know what I mean? But because
he was at Man United, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was, and then he went off to France. Well, he obviously wouldn't get game time there, which makes you surprised because their squad's very disjointed, isn't it? As well, like ours is still, it's better, it's improved, but yeah. So you seen any of these, Brad, David?
No, I've seen David during the World Cup, and I think they were talking about him then, and I thought, nah, doesn't set the world.
He has chipped him in more goals this year, in France, but.
And I thought Canada played pretty well in the World Cup.
Yeah.
But.
All right.
Isn't Gomez too small to play DM?
Sorry.
No, sorry.
No, I was going to say my worry about this conversation. Worry is the wrong word, but my issue with this conversation is so much of our work is under the radar that you may wake up in the morning and we've signed a player that you've never even. You might be someone you've never heard of. I certainly never heard of Kinski, but signed someone that you've not even heard a sniff that we've been linked with. So it's like, hell's bells, where did that come from?
Brad, there's no easy fixtures coming up, really. But I mean, like, if you want to change things and rest players, you've got Tamworth, you've got Hoffenheim away, and you've got Elfsberg at home, haven't you? So Ange will be getting a little bit. I think the pressure will be off him a little bit in the sense that he can shuffle the pack.
Looking at this list here, I think the end of January looks pretty good. Hoffenheim, Leicester at home, Elfsberg at home. Obviously, tomorrow night's going to be difficult whether Liverpool play a full strength team or not. Tamworth, did I hear someone say they got a plastic pitch?
Don't believe so.
No, I don't believe so.
I'll Google while you're talking.
Yeah, because the only thing that worries me about Tamworth is if it's a typical small club, mud heap, brings us down to their level. And the other thing that worries me is that we do play an incredibly second string team, and but we still should get through. And then the other thing that comes in is like, if you play and this is where Ange can't win whatever he does. If you play a weak team against Tamworth and we struggle, he'll get criticism. If you play a really strong team against Tamworth and win easy, people will say, why didn't you rest players for the Arsenal game? Because that's what the fans will be looking at. They'll be looking at the Arsenal game, Arsenal away in just over a week's time. Everton, well, if there's rumours about Graham Potter is true, we could be playing Everton on a new manager bounce.
The interesting thing about Everton,
Brad's right, 3G artificial pitch.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, that takes away my fear of being a mud heap.
Since we've been in the Premier League, I mean, we've beaten Everton 31 times, more than any other team. Believe it or not, the second most team we've beaten on 28 is
Man City.
Yeah, it's Man City, and then it's West Ham. Man City 28, West Ham 27. So we've got a very good record against Everton.
It's one of those games, isn't it? Like, I've seen Tottenham. I went up to Everton a few years ago, and we won easily 3-0. We had that one where we won 6-2 easily. But then, we went up there last and conceded a last-minute goal to them. So,
Eugene, even with us, we got players. Sorry, Brad, carry on. Go on.
I was just going to say, they're one of these teams that every now and again they'll play really well in front of their home crowd. And that, generally speaking, is when we play them normally. But, I think, the Everton game on a Sunday, I think the end of January, Hoffenheim, Elfsberg, I think we need to get in the top 8 for the Europa League to avoid the extra game. I don't think you get any other advantage, do you? Way first
No.
leg.
Doesn't matter where you finish in the top eight.
Yeah.
I think they just draw it out of the hat.
Leicester at home. Well, I don't care who's managing Leicester at the moment. You know, we got to be winning those games. We've got to be winning those games. I guess you could say, I mean, Tamworth, we should be winning. Probably the hardest game. And again, we don't know what team Liverpool are going to put out tomorrow. I think we can beat Liverpool tomorrow if they do play a second string team. And I think it'll be dependent on how much of a win we can get. And at the moment, it looks like it could be Newcastle in the final because they've just won 2-0 at the Emirates. So
Eugene, this group of fixtures here, I mean, we know we'd all would love to get something at Arsenal. Or take the draw we got last year when we should have won. They only scored 2 goals with a penalty and a deflection, right? But like, no, surely fans aren't going to blame Ange if he picks a slightly weaker team against Tamworth, Hoffenheim and Elfsberg. I don't think he's got much choice. We need a few more bodies back as well, even if we've got a couple returning, you know.
As Brad said, it's lose-lose. Whatever decision Ange makes, if we lose, you know, then the fans are going to be up in arms. Unfortunately, I don't think he has a lot of options to rotate the squad at this point. So hopefully he'll play the Dorringtons and some other kids. But again, if there's a chance that we'll get knocked out, that's going to be an issue. For me, I have all my eggs in the Europa basket. I want us to win Europa more than anything else. Unfortunately, I just don't see us beating Liverpool, even if they're going to rest a couple of players. I think they're too good at this point. And Europa is going to give us Champions League. And I just rate that cup more. So, and also we need to make sure we win those last 2 games, as we don't want to have an extra set of games. So the Europa fixtures for me are the number one, the priority on the list to win those 2 games.
I think
Arsenal. I mean, I obviously want to result in Arsenal, but as long as we don't get battered, which we won't, Arsenal looks pretty toothless at the moment. We should be okay. I would take, we might, lose 1-0 as we did at home. Everton, we should beat. Leicester, we should beat. No excuses there. So it's not too bad of a fixture list.
I'm hoping that Davies, VDV, and Romero are back for the Arsenal game. If not, I'm pretty confident they'll be back for Everton away.
Interesting, we haven't won in the Premier League since early November. So next Premier League game, Arsenal away. Stranger things have happened.
We're due.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're due for a win.
I just had a check. Liverpool play Accrington tomorrow.
On the week,
on
the weekend, yeah.
I don't see them resting too many tomorrow.
No, I think you're right.
Exactly.
So
it's a shame they haven't got Man City or Arsenal or someone in the cup, isn't it? Really?
No. And Newcastle and Arsenal semi-final both played very strong lineups. I suspect Eugene's probably right that Liverpool in a one-off at home, you've always got a puncher's chance. But over 2 legs, it might be a bit too much for this squad depleted as it is at the moment.
Yeah, I love these games though. There's fire in the veins. I'll go there tomorrow if we can sneak an odd goal win. At least take a win there by the odd goal. You've always got a chance. We know they've got a better squad than us. We know they're better than us on paper, but games are played on grass. I mean, I'm hopeful, and you want these games. I mean, even if they make you a bit more nervous than usual. I mean, we're in a semi-final. Try and enjoy the moment, because how many semi-finals are you going to get in your time of supporting the team?
People want trophies.
Exactly.
Want trophies. You have to win semi-finals first.
Exactly that. And we've lost about the last 7 and lost about the last 2 or 3 finals as well against Man United, Man City, and Chelsea. So, you never know what can happen in a football game. You want to win it your best 11 against their best 11 fair and square. But if a Liverpool player got sent off or own goals or we got a dodgy penalty, would I complain? No.
Right. we've been running for almost exactly 2 hours.
Yeah.
And if we go for over 2 hours, I have to put more money in the meter.
Right. Okay.
So, any last thoughts, Eugene?
No. As Adrian said, I'm excited about tomorrow. I have low expectations, so for me, even with a point, I'll take it, I guess, and see what happens at Anfield. But I just want to see some passion from the lads. I want to see some young guys play. It was very refreshing for me to see Gray and Bergvall and Spence playing, against Newcastle. I just saw the energy that we've been lacking. So win, draw, or lose tomorrow, I want to see some passion, some energy from the lads. If I see that, I'll accept any result. But I want us to be aggressive. I want us to be on the front foot. And I do wonder if Ange is going to make some tweaks. And I hope he learned from the last game against Liverpool. We cannot do what we did before. So it's going to be interesting.
Brad?
Yeah, I think if you look at the last Liverpool game, we scored 3 goals against them. All right, people might say, they took their foot off the gas at 5-0. But no, we kept going and we scored 3 goals, but for that stupid 3rd goal before half-time and even the 6th goal, maybe we might have given got something out of it. I know that sounds like a complete fool saying that, but we gave them a game. So if we can sort of defend better and be less suicidal going forward, although to be fair, Liverpool are a bloody good team, especially attacking. And the goals they scored were good goals. I think we can win tomorrow. Again, it's over 2 legs that worries me. I think I said the other day, a bit optimistically, that I think anything, it's got to be a 3-goal or more win if we can have a chance. That's only my personal opinion. I've seen us collapse at Brighton this season when we looked in control until they got a goal back and then we collapsed. We collapsed a bit against Coventry. Somehow we got back in that game. But maybe you could argue, maybe it's written in the stars. 1-0 down against Coventry, 2 minutes to go. We win 2-1. We beat Man City. We beat Man United. So maybe.
You never know.
And the other thing I will say, actually, is that on Sunday, I thought we were unlucky to lose. Okay, we should have defended better for the first 2 goals. But I thought they showed a lot of spirit, and it says to me that he certainly hasn't lost the dressing room, which I think once you lose the dressing room, that's curtains. But I don't think he has by any means.
No.
They still seem to be playing for him. So on that, we have to be grateful.
Not from what I saw on Saturday, Saturday lunchtime. Adrian.
I just want to give a shout out to Brad and Blue Sofa Songs. I'm sorry I didn't get the link up, Brad. It was a bit of a rush to get this sorted because of other technicalities we had today. So those of you watching on playback, we haven't had many viewers. It's funny, it's been a bit drop off everywhere just after Christmas. I think people are back to work and depressed, right? So get over to Blue Sofa Songs and subscribe to Brad's channel, please. Those of you watching on some playback.
It's music, by the way. It's not football related. So, and if you search for that as it is on the screen there, you'll find it.
Yeah, Eugene, where can you be found?
I'm nowhere. I'm just a fan who likes talking football. So
he's just a good friend of the show now. We'll be making regular appearances. Okay, right.
That was me before Adrian invited me on this. I just said. I'm just the media whore.
I'm just a dumb ex-bricklayer. That's all that sports first for this decade,
Yeah.
So, and you can, guys out there, thanks you viewers and all that, and please subscribe to the channel. Post a comment if you like our content, and give the videos a thumbs up. And also, I'd like to add, we do have a WhatsApp group, Spurs Diehards TTID. I've just set it up today. It's posted. Those that use XCOM or Twitter. It's posted in there as well. And it's also posted in our Facebook group. We've got 14,500 in there nearly, I think, in the Facebook group. Pity that they won't come over to this, but I understand why people don't like to use social media, the way it goes, right? Yeah, so, but if you want to join, you just get in contact with any of us, Ian or me, and give us your details and you'll be added to the group, Okay, so thanks to everyone. Our guests have been fantastic as usual. I mean, well-informed guests. We always try to bring you that. We always try to bring you fact-based stuff, and we are discerning what we class mature and sensible Spurs fan group, right? So, and we will discuss everything, controversial and otherwise. We do discuss it all, but we like to do it in a chill manner.
You're back on Friday, Adrian.
I'll be doing post-match Liverpool.
And we'll be back
Friday.
on Sunday. I hope to God I'm not hosting, because I've hosted too many post-mortems on Sunday nights already.
Tamworth.
I mean, if it is...
You got Tamworth?
Tamworth. just don't go there. And I will be back
post-match Liverpool preview Tamworth Friday, but then you're getting post-match Tamworth Sunday. I'll be with you, so
well,
that'll be fine.
If I have to host that, and I will be hosting next Tuesday when I have hopefully everything's up
Sean
and running
will be on,
with Sean, where we will discuss the pros cons of Enoch and Levy and the mechanics of him coming out and who might come in, etc. I had a really a nice show organised for tonight, but that just says to close off, Eugene and Brad, thank you for stepping in at the last minute.
Thanks for having me.
That was brilliant. Always a pleasure. Brad, we've worked together a fair bit, but Eugene, great having you on. Do you want to play us out, Adrian?
I would do that. I'll just, I'll do that. Hang on. Let me,
ask me then for a minute.
We'll do that. Let's go into media assets here. And I'll see you guys in the back room.
Yeah, but do.